Welcome to the GoTeez Sports Page, coming to you live from the Bluetick Tavern in Maryville at 92.5 FM and 1180 AM. Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Bringing you the best in Blount County sports since 1978. Featuring the Greenfield Gunner, Mike Edwards, former Maryville Scott, Donnie Moore, and from the Daily Times, Marcus Fitzsimmons.
For over 9.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, and I'm here at the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville, along with Blount County Sports Hall of Famer Donnie Moore and longtime sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons. Maryville Times sports reporter Caleb Jarreau will join our GoTeez Sports Page crew, along with Carson Newman assistant football coach Tony Ierulli. They're running for the roses at Churchill Downs, and we're going to the whistle blows. And now let's set today's lineup card. Donnie Moore will fill us in on the latest high school sports news and will follow up with the top national sports stories. Marcus Fitzsimmons will be on board to update us on what's happening in local high school sports, and will cover the teams and individuals who are making a mark. Today, Marcus zeroes in on William Blount softball and William Blount girls lacrosse, and I'll jump in and talk the latest UT sports news along with a preview of today's Kentucky Derby. We're happy you're with us, and so let's break the huddle and dive right in. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another week of the GoTeez Sports Page.
Man, it's good seeing you. I've been gone for the past 2 weeks. And good hanging
We missed
out
you, Tony.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, we did.
Well, that's great. I'll give you $5 for saying that.
Thank you. Checks in the mail.
Tony, you have been gone. Fill us in a little bit, but on where you went. You had some exciting trip. Well, you did text us there 2 weeks ago and said you were working with Nico out there on his contract in UCLA.
Well, we tried to get him at Carson.
That didn't work out so good, did it?
Well, we upped our ante. We went to 2 free Bojangles.
Doubled the offer.
We doubled our offer to him.
Doubled down.
And he still turned us down.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
after a while, we said, well, see you later. You're not part of us.
Come on,
You're out of here.
That's so we did that. But last weekend was great because we honored the 1991 Sanford University football team. Went into the Sanford's Hall of Fame. 91 team was just a great team. We lost in the semifinals of Division I AA. Players lost to Youngstown. We probably should have won that game, but it just didn't work out. But we had a great team. Terry Bowden was the head coach. I was the defensive coordinator. Jimbo Fisher was our quarterback coach. We had the thing about Sanford is it's a beautiful campus, but we attracted really some great young men to Sanford, coming back from all type of backgrounds, country boys, city folks, whatever, and to see them coming back as successful businessmen and whatever profession they've gone to, husbands, wives, it was a wonderful experience, and Carol and I had a great time there.
Yeah,
it really was.
and they spent 4 years there. That's
spent 4 years there.
Those days are over now.
But the thing is, whenever they see me, they start shaking because they're worried about Coach Ierulli, up, downs, roll, all that stuff like that. So they still got to have some therapy sessions, but they are getting better right now.
Yeah.
Where is Sanford?
In Birmingham.
In Birmingham.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Beautiful campus, and it's really a good place.
Very good. Very good. Donnie Moore got a letter rip this morning.
Let's do it.
And
I'm prepared. I'm excited.
I'm talking about, first of all, for letter rip, I'm talking about the Indiana Pacers to start with.
All right.
And this past Tuesday, the Indiana Pacers came away with a 119-118 win over the Milwaukee Bucks to take the series 4-2. The Bucks blew an 8-point lead with 46 seconds remaining. Tyrese Halliburton of the Pacers hit the game-winning shot with 1 second on the clock. The Pacers will face top-seeded Cleveland in the Eastern Conference semifinals. The game is set for tomorrow. The contest was overshadowed by an altercation the other night that occurred on the court after the game. After Halliburton's winning shot, a celebration occurred on the court, which included Pacer players and fans. One of the exuberant fans was Tyrese Halliburton's father, John Halliburton, who had a towel with his son's picture on it, and he was using it to taunt Milwaukee player Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Oh, no.
The incident could have resulted in a very bad situation. Luckily, cool heads prevailed, and the answer is fans stay off of the court.
Oh, man.
Stay off the court, especially when you got a Milwaukee Buck team that lost an 8-point lead with 46 seconds to go, and were eliminated from the play. Not a good time, Donnie Moore, to be taunting the other team right after a ball game.
Absolutely not. You don't want to exacerbate the issues by taunting. At least not even during the game, and much less after it.
Yeah.
He's gotten in the player's face and was talking. Really, the NBA should step in and say, okay, we're going to ban you for a game or two and not allow you to come watch a game.
I'll tell you something. I thought Giannis really held his poise for the most part, and after the game was over with, was a real class act when he talked about, ending the game. He talked about, winning with class and losing with class and keeping your emotions under control, so forth and so on. If it'd been anybody else, it could have really gotten ugly out there, in my opinion.
I would expect that out of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yeah. He's pretty steady.
Yep.
To your point,
has the NBA made a statement or said anything?
I
about
think
that?
they've already banned his dad from some games or
Okay,
did
good.
something to limit him.
Well,
so that way it doesn't happen again because they moved on now.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
He did apologize, and
that's good.
his son apologized, and he has remarked that he's not going to come to some of the games. So I guess, but it was a bad look out there, and overshadowed the great shot at the end and what the game was all about. But Tony, I really were seeing more and more in sports, especially on the college level. They find these schools for sending students out on the court, after contests or fans. But it
doesn't even stop them.
But it doesn't really stop them. I think in the SEC, what is it, $100,000 for the first offense for running out there? I believe that's the first offense fine.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't seem to faze them whatsoever, and that fine goes up the second time and the third time.
Well, when you have about 10,000 people rushing the field and you got about 50 security guys just saying stop, and they go right by. I mean, so what are you going to do on something like that?
Well, you think about from a team standpoint, an organization standpoint. First of all, you can get somebody hurt, and then secondly, you got liability factors, and then you got fines, and you got lawsuits, and there's a lot of things involved here. That go on in the process if you're not careful. I just think a lot of schools have been real fortunate, Caleb. I think down in the Southeastern Conference, especially, of course, I can't speak for all the rest of the leagues, but down here, especially in football and basketball, they've been on thin ice, I think, with this crowd going on the field.
It really, you look at Vanderbilt, there's not a lot of things that Vanderbilt does right, I feel like. But for basketball, they had the idea of, hey, we're going to pause the game, let both teams leave the court, and then let the students come onto the court. And they avoid fines that way, and nobody gets hurt, to your credit. But no, the field storming stuff does get pretty dangerous. I was on the field at Arkansas when they stormed it, and people were breaking legs jumping out of the stands to get on the field.
Wow.
And there were more Arkansas fans hurt than players or anything like that. And, I mean, personally, if I was a student jumping onto the field, I'm not going to get in the face of like James Pierce Jr. to flex that you lost. But they don't care. They get right in the face of these 6'7", 400-pound
And I'll tell
SEC
you,
football players.
Athletes are after a ball game over, a big game, and they're emotional. Coach, you've gone through it. You've coached a long time, and you've coached players, and you go through big games. A lot of emotion there. You don't come out on top. You're out there on the field. You're trying to get off, and there you are. You're in a situation.
And then you gotta get the coaches in between but it's different when you're at that Division I level. I mean, with you go out the major guys. I mean, they decide to swamp the field. I mean, 100. Believe me, those people are storming the field. They're not saying, "Oh, gee, we just cost the school $100,000."
They couldn't care less.
Couldn't care less and all that.
How about up at Carson Newman? Have you had any problems storming the field up there? Or?
Yeah, we did storm the concession stand.
Wrecked it,
and I did get some Skittles out of that. So I guess I'm not supposed to say that.
I think you're taking this the wrong way, though.
Okay. How about finding the players part of their NIL money if your team storms the field? Now the players get
or if you're Tennessee, take it out of the talent fee to pay the storming fee.
You could do that.
Because you're up 10% on ticket costs. Might as well use the extra money.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think this is about storming, though. I think it was about more the parent specifically going and taunting a player. And personally, I think with the precedents we have set in Little League and in some high school sports, the idea that a parent is still proud enough of their athlete, even though he's a professional and being paid millions of dollars to play basketball, and he's still that proud of him that he feels the need to go out and taunt the other team's best player. That's just we should be proud of him for that.
And the
should we
chances
not?
are this is not the first time he's ever done that. Somewhere, whether it's in
right.
high school or
Hey, but listen, this guy that was doing the taunting, John Howard, he wasn't a very big guy. I mean, John could have picked him up by the neck and just
that was
brought him off his
that was
feet
why
by
he was
about 4
gesticulating
feet.
so much, because he had to get that towel up there where he could see it. I mean, he only came up to his belly button.
Yeah, I know, but heck, I know, just there's no place for fans out on the court or on the field till players get out of there.
correct.
And he chose to taunt Giannis, who doesn't really talk trash or do a lot of stuff on
he's
the
a
court.
very calm guy.
Yeah, and
he
he usually
just
just
went
plays basketball.
Yeah, he's
What are you going to do? Go and taunt the hothead who might hit you?
That's a
Yeah.
good
You
point.
picked the quiet giant.
right.
I mean, I think that
It was
no,
he planned this. Is what
I'm
you're
being
saying,
a bit
Marcus.
sarcastic,
I,
but
I, I bet you
think
back in
this
the
should-
day he wouldn't taunt like Charles Barkley or,
Yeah, that's
or
true.
some of those.
Dennis
those-
Rodman.
That Rod,
yeah.
I
Don't mess
guarantee-
with
I guarantee.
But I think it should be used as a lesson for every over-exuberant parent who feels the need to get a little too involved in a game their kids are playing.
Yeah. Well, the Pacers are still in, so we'll see what happens in their next series and see if the guy shows up or whatever. But it could have been ugly the other
They can
night.
put seat belts in those arena seats.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Hey, I had it's Derby week. It's Derby week, and I had a dream last week.
Oh, Lord.
No, I had a dream.
Oh,
And listen, it woke me up. I had a dream that Donald Trump bought Churchill Downs. He bought it. He bought the racetrack. He bought Churchill Downs. He bought the whole deal. And I woke up there in the morning, and I was sitting in a chair, and I'm going, dang, it's a strange deal. Dream I had last night, and I got to thinking. I thought, well, what if he did buy the Kentucky Derby? What if he did buy it? What if he did buy Churchill Downs?
And he could.
And so I sat there and I thought, well, if he bought it, he would probably have all the horses that were in it would be owned by him, because he would want to win it, and all the alternates would be his horses. So I thought, well, if that's the case, I'll just name all the horses in the field. And I sat there
Donald
and I
one,
thought,
Donald
man,
two,
this is
Donald
going
This should be good.
This is going to take me all day to name all these horses. I had all of them, all 20 horses down here in 10 minutes. I had all 20 in the field and the odds on each horse plus the alternates. I mean, it was the easiest. It was the easiest job I've ever put together.
Look at Marcus's face. He
Let this be
never
a-
thought this conversation would go with this.
No, I'm just thinking, Mike, this is a lesson. There is a time at night where you should stop eating the leftovers from Aubrey's out of the go bag and go to sleep, because otherwise you end up with dreams like this.
Oh, I know it.
And I am terrified of where this
know
is
it.
going.
And Marcus was sitting
know
right
it.
next to Donald. wasn't
I'm
he?
excited.
But I want to
I'm
share
glad
these
you wanna
horses
hear it.
with you. I want to share the horses that I came up with for the. Now he changed the name of the Derby. You're not going to have. It's not going to be the Kentucky Derby. It's going to be the Trump Derby.
Trump Derby.
Yeah,
Okay.
Derby of Trump or whatever you
Yeah,
want.
like
Derby
the-
of Trump, like
like
the
the
Gulf
Gulf
of
of Me- yeah, Gulf of
exactly.
Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. I've got the odds and everything, and I'm going to go with the field in post number one. Post number one in the Trump Derby field. It's Rally Boy. Rally Boy is post number one. He's 20-1. Post number 2 is Fake News, and he's 70-1. Post number 3 is You Don't Have the Cards. He's 30-1. Post 4 is MAGA. MAGA is 4-1.
Go Maga.
Post 5 is Tariff. Tariff is 6-1.
Ooh.
Post number 7, and you don't want to mess with this horse, and they're going to get out of the way. Iceman. Iceman is in post number 6, 70-1. Post 7, Wall Builder. Wall Builder is 50-1. One of the favorites in post number 8 is Felony, 3-1. Felony is 3-1. Post number 9 at 20-1 is Constitutional Crisis. Constitutional Crisis. Post number 10, 5-1, Muskrat.
Muskrat.
Post number 11, Philly. We got a Philly in the field. Melania's Pick. Melania's Pick
There you go.
is number 11. Post 12 at 30-1 is COVID. You don't want to stay away from that horse at all costs. You don't want to get. Better
Doesn't
let
he
it
have
go.
his own
Better let
barn?
COVID go right out of the gate.
He's got his own barn on the other side of the track from everybody else.
I want to be the people handlers that push that button up in.
Post number 13 at 40-1 is Weekend Golfer. Post 14 at 3-1, another favorite, is Dodge a Bullet.
Dodge a bullet.
Post 15 at 20-1 is Oligarchy. 16
Does anyone
post
know what
six,
oligarchy
post
means?
16 post 16 is 50-1, and that's Biden your time. Biden your time.
Biden your time.
Post 17 at 60-1 is Presidential Pardon. Post 18, 30-1 is Executive Order. Post 19 at 40-1 is Immigrant Hunter. Immigrant Hunter at 19.
Odds are a little bit higher than that.
And post 20, the last post is Fact Checker. Fact Checker at 20-1, and I've got 2, 4, 6. I got 8 alternates. And one, I got 8. I got 8 alternates and 1 scratch. He wants to make sure.
This was some lucid dream.
That must have been,
wasn't it?
that must have been one hell of a dream.
That was a lucid dream.
What
right
did he
there.
drink?
He wants
I
to
don't
make sure.
know.
I got Bitcoin. Bitcoin's an alternate. Mar-Lago.
Troy's going to pick Bitcoin.
YMCA. I got 1 Philly in an alternate. I got Stormy Daniel. I got Sleepy Joe. I got Let's Make a Deal. I got Old Blue Suit, and I got 1 scratch in the alternate, Orangey Mane. Orangey Mane was a scratch.
I think you left. I can think of 2 you left out.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Eamon for Yemen
Amen for Yemen.
and Putin's Playboy.
There you go. There you go.
What did you eat that night?
I don't know. I really don't know. But
Generally, Bluetick Pizza does not do that to you. So he was going somewhere else with that.
He wants.
Had to be.
I have never in my life had an easier time in naming horses. Huh? I'll bet you that took more time in today's Derby to name them horses than I took on 20 or 28 of them
sure
or whatever
they
I
did.
had right here.
Well, first of all, don't ever lose that sheet of paper.
Because they need evidence at your trial.
Because in 4 years we're going to review at the end of his term. We're going to review all the ones to see who ended up. winning.
Who broke away and did the deal? Yeah, or I can give it to Tony right now at the end of the show. He'll probably go for what? Sleepy Joe, don't you guess? I'd say Tony's a Sleepy Joe guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, a lot of fun. We'll get on
good.
the Derby at the end of the show and talk a little bit about today's race, which it looks like it's going to be a little sloppy up there. And
All I know is what we talk about in the end of the show will not be able to surpass what we just went through.
I think we've already set the bar far too low for the rest of the show here.
Oh, man.
oh well. Anyway,
Quite a start.
yeah, lot of fun. Hey, let's talk a little bit about some vol notes. The men's basketball bracketology for 2026 is already in the book. They've already started looking at it.
Goodness.
They got Tennessee as a number 3 seed. Caleb, I'll just start with you down there. Number 3 seed out west. They got Tennessee playing McNeese. I think that's McNeese State, isn't it? Or is it just
Louisiana.
McNeese State.
Yeah.
And then the next, if they win that game, they would play the winner of Gonzaga and Virginia Commonwealth, and that first round would be in Greenville, South Carolina. You're looking at this all-star team. I call it an all-star team that Rick Barnes is bringing in here for next year because they're coming from everywhere. Do you see them as a number 3 seed at this point? Do you think they're that good? They're losing practically their whole team.
I think with the guys they've brought in, a 3 seed is in the cards. Something to me that I like the most about this team is that they have good post players. And Rick Barnes' weakness and Tennessee's weakness, the past 4 or 5 handful of years, has been the lack of a good post player. You get into the tournament, and sure, you might lose to a hot shooting team, but if you're getting dominated in the paint by a guy like Zach Edey, or even if you look at, Houston, their big man was undersized and still had his way in the paint, and they out-rebounded Tennessee. So I think the fact that he's went out and really strengthened that post room and got big men will help them. I think it's just a matter of who will play point guard. really, if you get a good point guard to replace Zakai Ziegler, I don't think anybody will be Zakai Ziegler. But if you get somebody who's even relatively close, then I don't see why they couldn't be a 3 seed or a 2 seed. I do think that draw is horrible, though. You never want to play Gonzaga.
Yeah, well, they're in the same bracket.
Not in the West bracket, anyway.
They're in the, yeah, they're going to go out west, but they're in the same bracket as Kansas and Michigan. They also put them in the same bracket out there.
Too.
But
well, I don't know. I mean, is Kansas going to be any better than they were this year?
Yeah, I don't know. Boy, they were a disappointment. That's for sure.
Yeah, they were down.
Yeah,
for sure.
The number 1 seeds that they have picked, they have Houston in the West as the number 1 seed, Duke in the East, St. John's in the South, and they've got Purdue in the Midwest.
Purdue.
Boy, the Boilermakers are back in the picture.
North side of Indiana.
Back already.
Yeah.
I
13.
think that's ambitious.
Yeah.
Duke rarely comes back as the 1 seed after they've had one of those one-and-done leadership years.
Yeah, they lost almost everybody.
I mean, even when they reload, it usually takes a year or two before Duke has that 1 seed ability again.
Yeah.
You know, an interesting one is St. John's. They just got a kid who went to Catholic high school out of the transfer portal, Tomba, but he transferred from Milligan University to St. John's.
Yeah.
So they're trying to reload through the portal too.
Yeah.
Milligan to St. John's.
Yep.
That's going to be. I will guarantee you that's a first.
Yeah,
I will guarantee you that's a first-time transfer.
How many people you think saw that post with him transferring with the Milligan logo going to the St. John's logo and knew what Milligan
well,
was?
I'll tell you right now, Tony, he'll take that NIL money and run with it. Won't
a
he?
lot more than what Milligan's been paying.
Yeah, absolutely. You can rest assured of that.
I mean, it's funny how it's all changed. Do colleges, even whether it's a football or baseball, do they even recruit high school kids anymore?
Well, Rick Pitino said he wasn't recruiting anybody out of high school.
Yeah,
He just made it plain clear.
I
He
mean,
said,
He's going to be a portal guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly the
You got to play in the minors now before you can go to
minors.
pros.
The minors are the mid-level colleges, and that's where they're coming from.
Hey, Rick Barnes swooped in and got a couple high school kids recently. Best, highest rated recruit in Tennessee history.
That's correct, and we talked about that the last couple of weeks, and he's putting things together over there. They had in this bracketology, had 13 SEC teams in. They had 12 Big Ten. They had 8 from the Big 12, 5 from the ACC, and the Big East, 4 teams. Only 4 teams. Well, that's about all they got in the Big East. At best, it's 4 teams in it. Really?
Yeah, probably.
You got St. John's, you got Connecticut, and you got Creighton in the Big East, and
That doesn't sound like they
Marquette.
left enough room for all the automatics.
Yeah. So, anyway. Tennessee signed in basketball. They got the Louisiana Tech transfer guard, Amari Abram. 6'4" guard, 12.3 points per game, 3-point shot, 37.7%. Made 66 3-pointers. He's been around. He went to Ole Miss for a year and played 22 out of 33 games. He went to Georgia Tech for a year. He averaged 9.3 points there. So, Caleb, he's warmed up.
That's one way to put it. I told last time I was here, I said Rick needed a shooting guard, and he's a guy who can kind of fill that hole. But they missed out. He was probably their 4th or 5th option out of the portal at shooting guard, and I'd stay still for a 4th or 5th option. It's not a bad pickup with the experience he has and the numbers he put up. It's just a matter of will he stick in the SEC this time, because I don't think he did last time.
Yeah, well, he's going to go with Jacoby Gillespie from Maryland, and of course Jalen Carey that they got from Vanderbilt. So, and he's added another veteran player, so to speak, through the portal. Not interested. Rick Barnes, Tony Ierulli says he's not interested in renewing the series with Memphis. I'm a little disappointed, that they're not going to do that. Memphis is one of the the better teams in the state. I know there might be some bad blood there a little bit. I don't know, but. I kind of hate that.
Because that's everyone knows that's an intense rivalry, and for the fans, I mean, I think they look forward to playing in Memphis, just like they play, some of the other like Kentucky or even Vanderbilt. But it's Memphis has always been a tough physical team opponent. Some of the games, I mean, it's vicious out there between the two.
Yeah, well, it's the bragging rights, part of the bragging rights for the state. And I've been pushing this for a long time, and I'm going to push it again this morning, see what Caleb thinks about it, because he hasn't been around as long. But I've proposed the Volunteer State Classic in basketball, with your regulars being in that classic every year. If you want to play it at Christmas time, it'd be a good time to play it. Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Memphis would all be regulars in that tournament. and then you could pick the other team, but depending on what kind of year they're going to be having or projected, Middle Tennessee State, East Tennessee State, Belmont, or Tennessee Tech. You're playing some of those teams. You're playing some of those teams anyway during the year. This would not be in tournament format. It would simply be a doubleheader between the in-state schools. I think it would be a good. You can even alternate the sites. You could play at Nashville one year, maybe Memphis one year, maybe Knoxville one year, and I think it'd sell a lot of tickets to something like that.
I would even toss in you could do an opener. If you make it a 2-day thing, you could do an opener where you have that game where you had like Maryville College playing Belmont, where you have a D3 playing one of the mid majors,
or Carson Newman.
Where you've got that kind of exhibition format that
all at the same
may not be the greatest game in the world, but it makes what's already special for that D3 or D2 team a really bigger stage for them to get onto.
What do y'all think of the idea?
I'm a fan.
I would love it,
I think
it's a great idea.
I think you just need a new coach at Memphis before Tennessee ever thinks about it after the whole COVID incident that happened in Nashville.
I think you'll
and
wait.
the ball up fist. But if Memphis gets a new coach and he's not trying to pick fights as soon as he gets there, then I don't see why it wouldn't work. And I love Marcus's idea of bringing in maybe a couple D2s and D3 to play the first day. And then maybe have them play during the day and do like a minor league baseball thing where it's like, hey, all the local schools, wherever you're at, have a field trip day to go watch these teams play basketball or something like that. Like make it an event where you're like putting teams on the map and then having young people watch those teams play and become fans.
And you're promoting Tennessee basketball.
Exactly.
Let's just go ahead and say our owner, Brian Johnson, is not listening to take this idea to the bank yet because he's busy with Bigfoot Festival today. But
I like it.
I think Memphis and Tennessee will not make peace until the football team needs Tennessee on their schedule again and needs the payout.
Yeah.
And that's what fixed it last time was football needed the game and basketball had to make peace.
Right.
That's true.
Caleb, I almost forgot the other player that they got this past week from the International League, or with the International,
the French guy,
the French player, and
yes, sir.
Seems like we've always got to have somebody from outside the United States to play over there, and they've been pretty successful with that, in the past. So they've signed Clarence Masamba. Is that correct? Or
that sounds good to me.
Close. That's how I've heard it.
Make sure he's documented.
Yeah.
I hate for him to go back.
11.4 points per game, 45.9% from the field. He's a 3-star player, and
good shoot.
I think looks like a good signee.
What's funny about him is he played in Gainesville before going back overseas internationally, and when he was playing in the States, he was ranked as a 4-star. And then when he left, they dropped his ranking to either a 3 or not ranked at all. So he still considers himself a 4-star. And I think with an international guy, you really have nothing to lose because you can come in, especially in this day and age, if he comes in and he's good and wants to play in the system, then you have a good pickup. And if he doesn't fit, he can transfer next year, and it doesn't hurt him and it doesn't hurt Tennessee either at this point.
Yeah. And I got a lot of Tennessee basketball news this week. I mean, they're losing an assistant coach over there. Rod Clark is leaving Donnie to go to God's country up in Indiana. You want to figure out why he's going up there to that cold weather? I don't know, but he's headed up there. Indiana's got a new basketball coach, and I think it's somewhat of a loss because he's recruited Chaz Lanier and Dalton Connect, and he had a hand into Toby Iwaka and B.J. Edwards and J.P. Estella and Amariel. I mean, he's had his hands in some guys here that's really come in here and contributed, huh?
He sure has. And, anytime you have to change and reincorporate a new coach into your system, you're going to take a step backwards a little bit.
Yeah. And Caleb, I even forgot the one that he was really heavily involved with, and that's a guy by the name of Zakai Ziegler.
Yeah.
He was heavily
well,
involved.
Who's that?
Yeah.
He got Zakai Ziegler. He got Dalton Connect. I don't know if you mentioned him because Rod Clark was a JUCO guy. Dalton Connect was a JUCO guy. They connected over that. Chaz Lanier, he got him to come back to Tennessee as well. So they replaced him with who I think is a good recruiter. But I think for Coach Rod Clark, the move makes sense because you're going to another blue blood in a great basketball state, and it's a first-year head coach. And I think he was worried about what if Rick decides to retire soon and then he's out of a job. Now he's hooked up with a first-year head coach at a program that's going to invest in basketball. and I think it'll help jumpstart his career.
He's not going to have to drive very far to find some pretty good basketball players up there. His travel can be a little bit limited, and
Yes.
they like for their their better players to stay in state. Indiana, Purdue, Notre Dame, the three schools predominantly that they like for them to stay to, especially Indiana and Purdue. There's a lot of people that want those players to stay there. So we'll see how he does up there. But he's done an outstanding job here, and we'll see how it affects his program going forward. I do want to ask if anybody has any information on this. I'm seeing some rumors about Zakai and Gainey maybe filing some lawsuits or something to try to get some eligibility back next year. Have you heard any of that, Tony, or anybody heard any rumors about that?
Go ahead.
There's the lawsuits that are already out there probably incorporate it all. The only thing is now, if these lawsuits do pass, will it include their class or will it be for the classes in the future? Because they're trying to do the thing where you get 5 years of eligibility that you can use however you wish. So if that passes, then sure, they would have an extra year of eligibility. But the question is, will it pass for their class, or will they be like Alberto Osuna on the baseball team, where you're trying to get an extra year of eligibility, but you're not eligible because you were a year too early? So I think for guys like Zakai Ziegler and Jemai Meshack, it might be worth for them going pro, wherever that is, whether it's overseas or in the association. But I think maybe a guy like Jordan Gainey, who doesn't really have pro aspirations, where his game might not translate as well, maybe it's worth sitting around and waiting for that lawsuit. But I don't know. Once again, you know how these NCAA things are. That could never pass, and then they're out just stuck waiting.
Well, the reason why a lot of these people are trying to see if they get another year of eligibility is they're figuring that they're probably going to be making more money being a college player.
Well, yeah.
Especially for like a Zakai Ziegler.
Yeah, than going overseas and playing in Portugal. All right. And so, so that's the reason why it's like the quarterback at Vanderbilt. He found himself.
And he won it.
He won his case and all that because him going to the NFL, he's not an NFL quarterback, but he's going to end up making more money being the quarterback at Vanderbilt. And that's what all these lawsuits are about.
Yep.
Caleb, we got the Derby going on today. What's the odds of those guys coming back?
I wouldn't say it's very high.
70-1.
Maybe. The thing is, there's so many lawsuits in the logjam right now. You've got this house settlement everybody talks about, which is the rev sharing that they're trying to figure out.
Yep.
So this eligibility thing, if it's not included in that, might be 2-3 lawsuits down the road. So I think, if we're being honest, eventually it'll be a 5-year eligibility thing. I just don't know if it'll happen in time for these guys for it to happen to them. But hey, if you get this transfer and freshman class plus a couple returners from last year, then Tennessee might be higher than a 3 seed if the bracketologists are correct.
Yeah. Very good. We've ran out of time, so we're going to have to take a break here. We'll take a timeout here, and when we return, Marcus Fitzsimmons will provide some high school scores for us and some other news around the area, and with his feature Mark It Down. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925. Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com. The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
Welcome back to the GoTeez sports page. I'm Mike Edwards, and I'm here along with Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons and Caleb Jarreau. And I want to mention that Donnie Moore's still a little bit laid up, and
I'm getting there, though.
You're getting there, and Marcus has been filling in for Donnie, but Donnie's going to take part here and maybe some question and answer with the next group we've got coming in here, and we got Caleb down there, but we appreciate it.
Donnie, go ahead and cue it up here. Let's go into the scoreboard.
Our local scoreboard segment is always brought to you by our friends over at Mandy B Street Realty Corporation. And, if you've got any realty needs whatsoever, Mandy B Street is the person you need to see. And
fortunately, we have guests that are all about stealing home today. So if anybody is listening and is far, far away from Blount County, you may be surprised to know there was almost no activity last night as far as what actually got played, because we were enjoying the thunderstorms. And I believe this is right, Caleb, every district tournament got suspended.
Yeah, nothing happened yesterday.
That was kind of, we had a plan. Josh had a thing set up, and, we were at Heritage, we were at Eagleton, we were at Alcoa, we were over at Farragut for you.
Yep.
Had stuff set up at Lenore City for all these tournament games, and William Blount as well. And all we got to do was watch the puddles build.
Yeah,
So.
I have to say, some of the tournament sites were shocked that it was raining, which I checked the
Well,
forecast.
Yesterday morning when I got up and checked the forecast, it was like, there's going to be like one brief, 30-minute shower at 3:30 is what it was saying. And then at noon it was like, forget that. It's just going to rain all night. So anyway, we don't have a lot for the scoreboard, but we do have special guests today filling in for our Mark It Down segment. And number 2 seed in 4-4A, William Blount Lady Governor softball, and Coach Roddy took the honorable way out, which was he is coaching and he sent his players in his place, and we are happy with that. So if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch, you can just saw the cameras change, and we've got a shot of the Lady Governors coming in. We've got Katie Owens, Chloe Merriman, and Blaine Bell joining us this morning. All juniors, right?
Yes.
Coach didn't lie to me on that one. All right. And not big Monday coming up. You all got to host the district tournament, and it's winter go home time, and you're already home. So that always puts pressure on you, because nobody wants to just walk across the grass. How big is the rest of this tournament for you guys? What does it mean for you? I'll call you out if I have to. We'll do this. I was never a teacher, but Donnie's taught me well. Katie?
I mean, it's pretty big. We got new coaches for us, so it means a lot to go and prove something to everybody in the tournament.
And Chloe, what does it mean for you guys to be hosting and not have to go across the river and play at Farragut or Bearden for once?
I mean, it's really nice because we just get to use our cage, our facilities, and it's just easier. It's more relaxed because you're at home.
And Blaine, I'm going to change it up on you. Is that cool?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're going to drop back to about this time last year. Not too far away from it, but you all come back and you've got a coaching change going into the summer. Coach Leatherwood decided to take a break and Coach Roddy comes in. Did that change the summer for you guys? Was last summer a different kind of feel as far as what you were doing training-wise, or was it still pretty much the same business as usual?
It was definitely different, but I think it was a good change. I mean, it was pretty much the same, just like practicing all summer, but just getting used to the new coaching staff was just different.
And Chloe, were there any major changes? Like, was there any changes to approach that were just totally different than what you'd done before?
Like the basics are pretty much the same, but it's really more of a positive, uplifting environment now.
Okay. And Katie, you've got, when you're pitching, that's always a change. When the coaches change, the philosophy changes. Were you able to adjust to what was going on?
Yeah, so we still kept Aaron for pitch calling, but during the middle of the season, we changed it to where me and Chloe are calling pitches now. So it's definitely different, but it's working.
So, and we'll go ahead and do that little bit of a plug, but you're in the circle. Chloe's catching and playing third occasionally, right?
Yes.
And then Blaine's also playing second.
Yes.
So that leads to the obvious question is, start of every inning, you all get together. What is the routine? What is the Lady Gov routine for the infield before every inning? What is it? Hands up, down, or pointing at each other? What's the little routine every inning?
I mean, normally they just come in and we like high five. Sometimes we'll say goofy stuff to get us laughing, but yeah.
Is there somebody in charge of the goofy stuff?
No.
No. Okay, so it's whoever has something goofy at that moment. All right. So is the intent to relax?
Yeah.
Okay. Because some teams want to do it to get intense, and some it can vary. I'm going to just running through some of the things from this season, but you got the sweeps of Bearden, got the sweeps of Maryville, wins over Heritage. You close out with a senior night win over Eagleton. This has been a good season for you guys. But at what point did you feel like this team got together? When did it feel like this was starting to click? No? Everybody's looking at each other. There wasn't a moment, was there?
Not really. I mean, I kind of felt like we were all together from the very beginning.
Now, was that in part because of what you all went through in off-season?
Yeah, because we were all coming in new and not the same with Leatherwood. So since we had new coaches, we all kind of didn't know what to expect. So we were all just kind of coming together.
So it was a whole new, it was a reset for the roster, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So Katie, I'm gonna pick on you really, and you're used to that because you're the pitcher, so you're used to. Do you want like a face guard before, in case we knock something right back at you here?
Yeah.
Okay. But what's it like pitching at this point as far as approach and what you have to do? Because when there are people who think this is still just underarm softball. This is not the softball that people saw with Donnie's age, my age growing up. This is very intense with a lot of work going in. How do you get, I guess, build up to being a pitcher? Like, is it start when you're 5 and then if you don't do it then you're too late, or is it something you can learn as you go along?
You can definitely learn as you go along. I kind of started when I was like 8 or 9. So, but I mean, yeah, it's just not. You can build up and start young, but there's definitely a lot of things that have to go into it. You definitely have to put the work into it and want to do it.
And how many pitches do you have to be able to throw? Like, is it all placement, or do you have to be able to have is it like baseball where you have to have several certain pitches to be able to go to?
Yeah, you definitely want to have some spinning pitches to, like, throw them off, yeah. Because if you just go in with like a fastball, change up, they're going to catch up to it, they're going to hit it. So you've definitely got to do something to throw them off to get them chasing. So.
And Chloe, you all mentioned it, but you all are coordinating on the pitches now more than the coaches calling it. Mm-hmm. How much feel do you have to have for who's in the circle now at this point? Like, how much?
I mean, I've caught Katie since we were in 6th grade, so I mean, I kind of know what she likes and like what works best on her. And we talk before the game, like what's working and what's not, and what she wants to throw. And we talk about certain batters, like what do we want to throw to this one and what do we want to throw to another one. So.
Do you all ever differ on what's the go-to pitch when it's a full count?
No, I know Katie likes her curve.
That was very good. She does shake. Yeah, I know where that was. Is it when y'all made that change in the middle of the year? Did it put more pressure on you guys to try to figure it out? I mean, because at that point, you can't look at coach and say, "I told you not to call that."
Yeah.
I mean, it's on you guys at that point.
Yeah.
So
definitely felt a little bit more pressure on my end, having to call the pitches and what happens.
And then I'm not gonna leave Blaine out over here.
No.
Because I want to pick on you about something I've seen over at William Blount, not Morab, but to a certain degree. You all have a lot of routines for batting. What's your personal thing when you go up before? Do you have one before each pitch or just for the at bat?
I mean, I just really just look at the coach, take it like a swing, and then step in the box every time before every pitch.
So there's no drawing happy faces and stars in the dirt and looking up and shaking 3 times and turning around sort of thing?
No.
Okay.
I got a question for Katie. Right? Well, it's more of a statement.
Oh, Donnie's stepping in here, folks.
Katie, rank these in order of importance to you. Pitch speed, pitch placement, pitch variation.
I'd say pitch placement, pitch speed, pitch variation.
Okay. All right. There you have it.
Caleb, are you getting ready to chime in here?
Yeah, I am curious. When I talked to Coach Roddy before the season, he mentioned how this was a super young group. And so obviously y'all are all juniors. How do you think that's kind of, helped y'all come together? And how has it been maybe tougher that you don't have a large senior class that you can lean on through a change and you're, a young group that got a 2 seed, now you're hosting the tournament?
I think it kind of helped us out a little bit because it was making the change easier from going to new coaching staff because all the freshmen coming in, it was just new for everyone.
Okay, and I'm not trying to put more pressure on you guys. However, I'm going just to note Farragut has been a bugaboo so far this year. But you all have a season left, and I'm not discounting what you can do in this one. But for the people who don't realize it, this is the last time y'all are going to get any licks in with Farragut for quite a while, we're in district play. Because if you see next year, if you see Farragut in the tournament next year, you're in state sectionals, which is not a bad thing. But I mean, with what's gone on, you guys are in a real small district next year, and it's not the traditional teams that we've seen. So is there any, if we're going to make our bones with the West Knoxville teams, this is the last try, is there any of that in this tournament? Or have you seen any of it from them because it's the last time they're going to see you guys as well? No?
No, I don't really think so.
I think that's just coaches. I don't think the players care one bit, do you?
I guess not.
So what's the thing that's got to happen for you guys? What have you got to get done on Monday that's to move on? What do you feel like you've got to accomplish on the field there?
Our defense needs to get cleaned up a little bit. We struggled against Maryville with that, and then we also need to put the ball in play more and get on. We didn't have a lot of base runners.
We need to come out ready
Yes.
to hit instead of waiting.
And kind of what Caleb said, who's the person that's on the roster, not on the coaching staff, who on the roster is most likely to make sure you all have the right attitude when the first pitch goes out? Who's the leader on this team?
Maybe Blaine with that. She's she's a big personality, very lively. She's very happy always all the time.
Yeah, she's got a very positive attitude all the time.
Okay. So here's the deal we put down for people, and this is because we're we're a meritocracy show, which means you can win your way back on this show. So we have an open invitation that if you can come back with a trophy, say the one that says TSSAA State Champions on it, you are welcome to come back on the show, bring that on, talk to us about winning a state championship. We're always like you to have those people come back. And Donnie kind of laughs, but we've made that
It's true,
challenge.
though.
We've made
Yeah.
that challenge twice this year, Heritage and Alcoa, and both
Right.
of them have come back on here. So it is it's not without precedent. So we always put that out there for you guys to win your way back on. We'd love to have you on May 24th and with a championship trophy. But thank you guys for getting up on Saturday morning. You can all chastise Coach Roddy for making you do that, but we appreciate the effort. And we wish you guys the best of luck going forward in this district tournament. Mike, I guess we're getting ready to go ahead and turn the page.
Thanks, Marcus. It's time to turn the page, and up next is the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segment. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925. Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com. The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, B.F. Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew. And now it's time for the GoTeez Sports Page Player of the Week segment featuring Daily Times senior reporter Marcus Fitzsimmons, sponsored by Anderson Lumber Company, where quality service is always a priority, proudly serving Blount County for over 100 years. Marcus, you got a busy morning.
Well, it feels kind of like a blue and orange morning.
Yeah.
That wasn't intentional, but,
it's all William Blount in here this morning.
It's
good to see him, too.
It is, and it's strange sometimes how the scheduling works out where the teams at the same school have the breaks at the same time, and it's not intentional, like I said, but sometimes that's just the way it works. So we're very happy for our Players of the Week. This award from Anderson Lumber. William Blount lacrosse, girls lacrosse, let me say. We'll clarify that just in case there may eventually be a boys team. Thank you, Donnie. Thank you, Donnie, yes. Everybody watching on YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch can make it clear that this is the girls team. But Coach joined us this morning and brought several players. Coach, I'm going to start with you because we had you here about a year ago kind of talking about this moment. It's the first varsity season.
It is.
And this is, I got to ask, has it been that much different, or has it been kind of similar to when you all were, it was a club sport in the state, or is it just totally dramatically different playing a varsity sport?
In lacrosse, we started setting up for this day years ago. So we started trying to play by the rules even before we were a legitimate sanctioned team. So as far as how we operate on the field, in the relationships with our players, the things that we do in the standards we've had, that's not changed a lot. Now, the privilege that we have earned of playing at the high school on the turf, having a locker room, and getting a little more street cred from the people within the community, that's been amazing. We're super excited about that.
That's what we were hoping for.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
That's when you're kind of hoping when you start a sport from scratch, not from scratch in your terms, but from a varsity sport in TSSAA, there are so many things but moving parts behind the scenes as far as how regions get set up, how districts get up, where officials are going to come from, how do we train officials, how are we going to keep score, how are we going to put this online, there's a million things that can go on, and it felt like while not everything was perfect, that a lot of things went really right.
Absolutely. There were bumps on the road this year. We got my hand slapped just a little bit for things that we did that didn't know. Ignorance is bliss, until you get in trouble for TSSA. And they're like, hey, you can't have a camp on this day because I'm like, oh, I really didn't know. I didn't know. But, we worked through that, and forgiveness is gracious in this first year. But super proud of the community of lacrosse doing everything that we did. So this was a relatively smooth transition into lacrosse for a sanctioned sport. It was good times.
So you've got a quartet of Lady Govs here. So I want you to go ahead and let me introduce them going around the table here.
Absolutely. It was really hard to figure out who to bring here today. I have, there's 4 young ladies here, and we have 17 more that are on the team that I would love to highlight and showcase. But these 4 are pretty special to me. The first one here is Allison Joins. Allison happens to share the last name as myself, so she has been a player with the program all the years, plus she played middle school, and pretty awesome. She is committed to play at the collegiate level. She's a senior, one of our captains. Next door to her, fun fact, is Maddie Brooks. Maddie Brooks is actually a student at Alcoa High School. This year we did enter into a co-op with Alcoa, so she has joined us. She and Allison and another kid on the end, Carrie, we'll talk about her in a minute, they actually played together in middle school back in Knoxville. So that's cool to have her on the field with us at William Blount this year, and we can talk more about her awesomeness later. Then we have Peyton Meyer here in the middle. Peyton jumped in this year for their first year playing and has been a game changer on the field. She's one of our captains. We are just excited, and we're like, man, she's gonna do so much for the team next year, and she already did this year, so we're couldn't not have her here with us this year. And then on the end is Carrie Coulter, the one and only. Carrie, another senior. She's going off to play at Morris Hill in the fall. Carrie's a captain with us. And as I said, Allison and Maddie, they've played together middle school before. So it's just fun to be here with these ladies.
Okay, so do they stand up under pressure? Are they going to crack when I pick on them here? Are they going to?
Oh, pick on them a lot.
Okay.
This is our last chance, especially for these girls. Bring it on.
So I will I sometimes give this reminder. As while we are streaming and everybody can watch you, and like there are billions of people in China not tuning in this morning, head nods don't translate on the radio. So at least give me an I don't know.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start off. Allison.
Okay, awesome.
Okay. And I'm going to be a little bit of a switch up, but we saw a lot of this last spring, and coaches mentioned it. William Blount is sending a lot of players to college ranks. How did it feel to be one of those?
It's been awesome. The recruiting portal for lacrosse, it's a new sport, and it's growing all across the country. So that's opened a lot of opportunities, and Coach Joins has been really great at giving us those opportunities and pushing us to, hey, just reach out to those coaches, answer all of them. And yeah, just looking to those opportunities has been awesome. I'm really excited to go to University of the Cumberlands. I was really lucky to find there. We're actually playing the national championship today. So yeah, it's been super exciting to be a part of that and be one of the many that are going to play at the collegiate level.
So is there a way to tune into that, or is there a live stream of that you're going to be watching on later today?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be tuning in right after we get out of this. We play at 1 o'clock. So.
And Carrie, I'm going to hit you with the same thing. How does it feel to be going to play at the next level?
Yeah, it's really cool because, again, I've been playing since 6th grade, and so it's like I don't really know school without lacrosse, basically. I've been playing since middle school. Elementary is the only school I did without lacrosse, and so it just feels right to be able to continue doing that. And having these opportunities with it being a new sport is incredible, and the amount of prospect days and clinics and emails for coaches and back and forth was a headache, but I was lucky enough to commit my junior year. So my senior year, I didn't have to worry about it whatsoever. I was able to go into school and just focus on the season and my school and not have to worry about what college I was going to, because I'll be going to Mars Hill University. And so that's just really cool, and I'm excited about that.
So I'm looking at this, and we've got captains, we've got seniors, but the thing that I don't think anybody realized, and I know I did not realize until you said it, Coach, you had a co-op with Alcoa?
We did. We did.
Okay, so we usually get to play with this game with Eagleton and Sessi teams, but I got to pick on this with Maddie. I would say like 6 days out of 7, it's okay fitting in with William Blount and players, but there's got to be some times like where Alcoa and William Blount are playing each other in other sports, and it may not be as comfortable to be wearing a William Blount lacrosse jersey in school.
Yeah. I love wearing it because I just stand out, and like William Blount allowed me to play my sport. So if my school didn't have my sport, I'm going to support the team that did give me my sport.
Does it make it a little more difficult, like when it comes to practice, because it's not like a 10-minute drive for you; it's like a 30 to get over there and get through school traffic.
School traffic is hard, but it's worth it to come and play with these girls, and I really love my team.
And Coach had mentioned this. Where did you all start playing together when she was talking about you all were playing in middle school and things like that?
We played, KYS, Knox Youth Sports in Lakeshore Park, and we all practiced on the baseball fields because we didn't have a field, and it was really fun to play with these girls.
And I'm going to give you the lead in. Everybody's going to get this question, so I'll listen up. What brought you in lacrosse? To get involved where you did, this wasn't even an inkling of being a varsity sport in Tennessee when you got interested. So what kind of attracted you to you?
Actually, my little brother started playing when he was in kindergarten, and I would come to his games, and I thought it was so cool, and I wanted to give it a try. So I tried it, and I never stopped.
Which leads me to pick on Peyton, because Coach mentioned this. How do you go from not playing lacrosse to playing lacrosse and becoming a leader on the team?
So basically, I played soccer with these seniors, and they really just pushed me to come and join them, and I just can't live without them. I love them so much, and when they were like, come to lacrosse land, I was like, okay.
So there are, and this is what I'm picking this up slowly but surely, but from what I understand, there are some soccer players who can make the transition to playing with a stick and some that do not.
Mm-hmm.
How was the transition for you? Is it similar enough that some of the same things work, or is it a very big adaptation?
Definitely like the footwork. The footwork really helped me. For me, I don't think it was very hard to pick up a stick, but I think all the support and the opportunities that Coach Joins gave us and these seniors, it just really helped me.
How long did it take to pick up the terminology?
I was a little confused. We played a tournament in February, and I was really confused on where to go. There's training lines, everything. It was just all so new to me. But a few games in, I think I had it pretty much packed down.
So do your teammates help, or is there a hazing that goes on? Just let her wander till she figures it out.
A little bit of both. Yeah, definitely. They have been such a huge help, but some days they were just just figure it out on your own.
Gary, I'll come back to you on this. It seems like there's always going to be new players who are finding the sport for the first time as a sophomore, junior, even a senior. Is that a part of the process for the players who've been around to kind of, you all know a routine of how to bring them into the sport at this point?
Yes, absolutely, because every year we get people starting at the high school level, and so our fall season, specifically preseason, is a lot of basics. It's a lot of just building the groundwork over and over and over again. So when you've been playing since middle school, like some of us have, it's a little frustrating, but it's definitely necessary because we have to get these girls to the right level. And there was my junior year, I was out on a knee injury, and so it was my job to help all the new girls who came in. And so it's just passing and catching and all just like the little nitpicky things where we're like, get this ground ball like this and like this, that we have to go over every single year. But I wouldn't change it.
She says that just the right way, Coach.
Right, that was cute. Until we have established feeder programs in Blount County, we are going to continuously have this turnover, and it is challenging. Last year, we lost 7 seniors that had time to build up a program. This year, we're losing 9. So next year, it's going to be really tough to start from scratch, but part of learning to play the game is also learning to teach it, and that's what we expect all of our returners to kind of contribute to that. As we talked last year, there's 2 other amazing women who coach the program who have great skills, who have helped with that. So there's, lots of people feeding into it, trying to help them. But it's no doubt it's definitely a struggle bus because lacrosse is not something everyone grows up playing like other sports. When you start playing, softball when you're 3 and basketball when you're 5, everyone has a foundation before they get to high school. In lacrosse right now, we're starting as freshmen. But I think that's what brings us closer together. The struggle is real, and through that struggle, we build up on that and grow stronger together, right, girls?
Yeah, I think it's almost an advantage too, because something that we have that not all other sports have is we get to step back and think about technique and footwork and just simple like catching, cradling, that most other sports don't jump back to that, and we get to really dust it off. And we've gotten really lucky to have players like Peyton who are digging into film, asking literally thousands of questions, and working so hard. Everyone is so wanting to learn, and I think that's so special. Not every sport has that, where they're just girls wanting to come in and gain all the knowledge that they can, and we just have had such good hard workers. And specifically Pan has worked so hard to be a captain her first year. That has never happened, I think, ever in our program history, and I don't think there's anyone on the team that would say she doesn't deserve it. So we are really lucky to have a lot of girls like them, and that makes having a growing sport with new girls so much easier to have people like that.
And we're not having to fix bad habits. We're starting from scratch, so we're not getting someone who's coming in who has a bad technique that we're trying to correct. We're starting from step 1, and that helps.
Yeah.
I'll put this one to Maddie just because you're easy target seeing right there. But one of the things that I've seen in other sports that is translated very well is that, and I'm wondering if this is a strength for lacrosse in the situation you're in, is when you have players not just working on their own skills but trying to teach those skills, that it makes them think about how they play at the same time, and it kind of feeds back as you're making yourself a better player because you're teaching somebody else some of the basics.
Yeah.
Is that true for the process?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like most players who get to come back and teach each other, it really helps improve their skill because they also see what they need to work on, and then they can work on it together with the new players, and it helps form the team and teach the new players.
I think that's been one of the secrets that basketball figured out. Was one of the best things about coaches having summer camps and using their players as coaches for little kids was that they made them better when they started trying to teach it themselves. Coach, a little bit about this season. It's always going to be a challenge.
Absolutely.
First one is big though. Can you kind of put this one in a nutshell? What did you all learn from this season?
Gosh, we learned a lot. We learned a lot, and I'm going to go back to what I said a moment ago. Until we have a feeder program, we're going to be struggling. Last year, we had a remarkable season, great. This year, it was a great season. Our girls competed. We quickly learned that, some people put in a lot of extra work outside of the season, so we showed up some games where they were ready for vengeance. We beat them last year, and they came in and showed us that they meant business. But we matched their energy and tried really, really hard. We finished our season. We made it to quarterfinals. Thursday night, we went up against Seymour. Seymour, as we've talked before, is established for 15 years. They are going to make it to state this year, and I'll be anxious to see how that ends. So losing to Seymour is nothing to be ashamed of. They're a quality team, but we have a lot. I have to just kind of talk about Maddie one more time here because she saved our season this year. She came in as a goalie. We graduated out 2 last year, so we knew we were starting from scratch. So to have Maddie come in with years underneath her belt playing, we definitely would not be where we are today. without her. We had some great wins. We beat Pigeon Forge this year. Sorry, Coach Neal, love you, but they beat us last year. So it was nice to come around and be able to say it was fun. It was our turn to win this year. We had some hurts this year that were kind of shocking. Team out of Knoxville had a stellar player come in from Maryland who had years of experience, and she came in and she knew how to play lacrosse, and they put it up on the board in a hard way to us. That was Knoxville Catholic. Are we still traumatized over that, or is it just me? Yeah.
I think players get over it a lot faster than coaches do.
Tough. It was tough.
Those schools that are near those ACC universities, they play a lot of lacrosse over in those areas because lacrosse is very big in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Is that correct?
That is correct.
With the popularity of lacrosse growing, in this state, do you look for more colleges to pick up lacrosse that's not playing lacrosse now to open up more opportunities for scholarships?
I hope
for
so.
players?
I hope so. There was a lot of talk in the Tennessee area that once it became a sanctioned sport in the state, more colleges would be more apt to offer it. Because then you have quality student athletes to choose from if they're playing it younger. So I'm anxious to see. It is growing quite a bit, as the girls talked, which does create these great opportunities to play lacrosse. There's not a young lady at this table who hasn't earned the privilege of playing. I know Maddie has chosen not to, but I'll be anxious to see. UT has a rec program right now. I'll be watching that closely over the next 10 years. They have a great, very quality skilled University of Charleston. They have recreational programs. So a lot of schools have those rec leagues in place. So we'll see. We'll watch and see.
Yeah. And we saw that to a degree when rowing became a varsity sport. But even now, the SEC competes in the Big 12 because there's only about 4 schools that are doing rowing at a varsity level, including Tennessee. But if you look at the listings today, in comparison to what we saw 5 years ago, this would have been, there was no way this was going to happen. Right. But you're going to be able to tune in to ESPN today, and there's going to be 3 conference championship games for women's lacrosse on ESPN today.
It's amazing.
Which that was not, maybe once on ESPNU was what you'd see 5 years ago. Its popularity is growing as the number of players are growing.
Absolutely. Women's Lacrosse League, professional lacrosse league started this year. Charlotte North, huge lacrosse player out of Boston. She's one of those. Who else? Taylor Moody. Lots of great women leading the sport in a great direction. I'm excited for us to see that.
Do they have camps for you to go to in the summertime? Do they have AAU opportunities like basketball has? What do they do in the off season to get their skills perfected?
In previous years, your best options were to go to Nashville, just to be honest. Tennessee, Tenn is a program there. Smoky Mountain Shine is our most convenient opportunity for these girls, and I've been talking with the LMU coach, Alyssa Shaver, who is in charge of that. In fact, we are doing a free camp Tuesday, May the 13th out at William Blount for anyone who is interested in learning lacrosse. Coach Shaver's coming down for that, to lead that, just to gauge the interest in our area. Hopefully we'll be able to do a travel program out of William Blount's, hosted there, not coordinated or coached by us, but by Coach Shaver. She's looking to do a practice day, 1 in Knoxville, 1 in Sevier County, and 1 in Blount County, just to try to give girls a chance to play. So.
And who do they contact or look up? If somebody out there, if mom is interested in getting somebody to come out and try.
Absolutely. They always reach out to me. I'll connect them to whoever. Just look at the Lady Govs Lacrosse Instagram or social media pages. But Smoky Mountain Shine is that program's name. And she'll be releasing those details as soon as we get everything ironed out.
Coach, I'm going to come back to you to close off as we get short on time here with some shout-outs. But for the players, and unfortunately, Carrie's going to have to go first, but I want you to make your case, and we'll go down the line. Make your case to a 6th grader as to why they should come out and try lacrosse.
Oh, okay. Obviously, again, the opportunities in college are pretty endless. I never thought I would be able to have the opportunities to play at a collegiate level, and much less at Division II. And so that's just really cool. And I've already talked to some of those teammates and the friendships that you build. Like I said, I would have never met Maddie and half of these girls if we didn't play lacrosse. It's just. That's probably my favorite thing about it, is the relationships that we have built and the friends that we have made along the way with the team. Our team bonding, I think, is kind of better than any other sport ever. That's my case.
Peyton, make the case to a 6th grader why they should not wait as long as you did.
So I'm going to piggy off what Carrie said. The relationships that I've built on this team and with these girls are insane. It's so nice to feel like you belong somewhere, and it's so nice to have someone that you can go to after practice or like before, and just be like, hey, like, what's going on? I definitely think that you should start earlier than I did, because it's just so fun. It's so fun to learn. It's so fun to try new things, and yeah.
Maddie makes the case, even if somebody has to go away from their own school to do it, but to convince a sixth grader they should come out and give it a try.
I think the community of lacrosse is just so worth it to get involved in. Even though it's a small community, we are all joined together and support each other, even though we are competitors, and we all join together and help make this sport a TSSAA sport this year. And I just love the community, and it is so welcoming to anyone. So.
Allison, you get to close this off. You've got to come up with the best one. You're in position.
I know. I agree 100% with everyone else said, but I will come from the perspective of I've never been pushed so hard mentally and physically, and that builds character. And I think just playing a sport is important, but lacrosse is a sport that you can be a part of history. Like, this is such a new program, and we get to be part of something so big. Like, one of the first female sports playing on the turf at William Blount High School. That's huge as a first-year program, and it's only going to keep growing and getting bigger from there. So that would be my case.
Coach, close it off. Give us a shout-out. Who do you need to? I know there are many people you want to thank for helping this program, but give us a couple highlights.
Well, let me add this. One thing about lacrosse is your mom and dad didn't play, and they can't tell you that you're doing it wrong.
Truth.
Okay, so
Right
I'm
there.
just saying, come do something when they can't tell you what to do because they don't know. Everybody in Blount County Schools helped make this happen. I'll have to give huge kudos to Stan Burnett at Central Office. Without him listening to me whine and complain about why we needed to do this, we wouldn't be here. You know, good old Scott Cup, he likes to give me a hard time about stuff, but I like to remind him that we have not created any problems for him. We just make him look good, and that always helps him support us more. The coaches, Coach Riley, Norris, Coach Jasmine Thompson, Madison Holiday, all part of Lady Gov's lacrosse history. So many people made it happen. These girls mostly stuck with it. I'm going to give some shout-outs to two of these who made some milestones this year. Maddie had 500 career saves this year. Allison hit 200 goals in her lacrosse career. Everybody is doing great things. And without these little commitments that they make every day just to show up and put in the work, we wouldn't be doing this. But I'm so grateful. And thank you guys for having us out here when we, are the unknown, we were referred to once as the redheaded stepchildren of sports at William Blount High School by Mr. Cup. Love him, but it's okay. It's okay. We are proud of who we are. We're proud of what we're doing, and we hope to keep rolling with it.
Okay, so I fibbed a little bit because I do have one question that I hope we can share on the air, and I'm not straying into unfamiliar territory here. There was a video circulating on social media of lacrosse players putting a cream pie
Oh my gosh! You know what?
into somebody's face.
Listen.
There was very little explanation that went with it.
That was some good. So how could I forget Mr. Bristol here? Okay, so Mr. Bristol is one of our school counselors, and he has come alongside this year. He said, "Hey, what can I do to help you?" I'm like, "Hey, show up. You can help keep stats on the sidelines. Just be there." It gives him a chance to get to know the player. So when we were going into the Seymour competition, we knew more than likely what the outcome was going to be, but we wanted to try to keep the girls engaged in the game. So we created a bingo card. If you can't win on the scoreboard, let's win on our bingo card. And it had challenges such as, win the draw, beat someone at a ground ball challenge, just several different things. And we had incentives, and one of the incentives was Mr. Bristol participating in something. I wanted to pour water on him. He's like, no. So at 3:30 that day, he's like, I'm not going to get dumped with water, but I'll take a pot to the face. Too bad. I wish we thought of it sooner. If you'd had time to go get one, because he knew we were getting on the bus at 4 o'clock. Little does he know that Sally Joins has resources. So I called Carrie Coulter's mom. I was like, hey, can you get a pie and show up at Seymour with it? So we met the challenge. She brought the pie. Mr. Bristol got a pie to the face. It was glorious. We won. No matter what the scoreboard at Seymour said,
that was
Bristol.
a win.
I'm going to say that was one of the best videos I have seen. It definitely pops out at you.
Absolutely.
Because the post pie expression it's pretty good. I'll give him props for that.
He needs to choose his friends better, I guess. I don't know, but we appreciate his support bunches, and that was a lot of fun. Good fun way to end the season.
Well, we appreciate you guys coming in. Congratulations on a great first varsity season, and we wish you all the best of luck. Especially this group, we probably won't see most of you again, but congratulations on that first year and you'll always be the first ones. The record books are going to be yours for anybody else to come back and surpass you. But Mike, we'll go ahead and turn the page
I would like
here.
to see Scott Cup out on the practice field with your group there. Anything that's got girls with sticks chasing Scott Cup, I think I would pay money to see that.
We
Coach.
invited him several times. He conveniently had other things to do.
I would think that would bring him around pretty quick, but that's just me talking here.
Right.
Hey, it's time for a break, and when we return, it's the Boyd Sports Spotlight. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, B.F. Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensonTire.net. For over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at andersonlumbercompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the Boyd's Sports Spotlight segment. And I'm here with longtime sports page veteran Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons, longtime sports writer, and Carson Newman, assistant football coach Tony Ierulli, and Caleb Jarreau from the Daily Times. And we're going to talk some sports headlines here. And before I get to that, I want to talk a little bit about Tennessee baseball and softball. But Donnie Moore, get us into this segment. Tell us who it's brought to everybody by.
You know, this segment that we've got coming up here is always brought to you by not only a great company, but we'll say this: it's owned by our boss, Brian Johnston.
Absolutely, it's a great company.
Exactly. So at least this franchise is. And this segment is, of course, brought to you not only by just an unknown company, but it's brought to you by Fast Signs. Fast Signs.
All right.
If you want a sign painted fast and correctly and right and done and beautifully, go see Fast Signs.
Go.
Up on Lois Lane in Alcoa, next to the airport.
Wasn't that Superman's?
Yeah, it
Yes,
was.
that's the joke of the airport.
Okay. The joke of the airport.
Mike, take us away with the headlines and save us here.
Okie doke. I'll talk about Tennessee baseball. Caleb ran into some weather last night. They lost before. They lost 2 out of 3 down at LSU. Wasn't a good road trip down there, but they haven't won down there for a while anyway. So it probably wasn't unusual that they dropped 2 out of 3. But
hard to win down there.
Yeah, they came back against Northern Kentucky middle of the week to win 7-5, and then last night they were down 2-0 to Auburn, and then it's suspended. They're going to try to get in a doubleheader today. What else can you tell us?
Good luck.
Yeah, well, they already are in a weather delay today. They're trying to start here in about 10 minutes. But, man, I think there might not be a worse decision made this year than to try and start that game last night, because Tennessee rolled out Liam Doyle, who's arguably the best pitcher in the SEC, at least statistics-wise he is. He leads in a lot of categories. He's a Golden Spikes candidate. And he threw 25 pitches in the top of the first, and they canceled the game because they couldn't play. What was the point of starting that game in the rain? Because you saw the forecast. I think
Yeah.
They probably should have took a page out of softball's book and either tried to play early yesterday, because with the weather now, even with that turf, I mean, the mound is still dirt. And I think Auburn batter, who ended up striking out, let go of his bat and almost hit somebody in the dugout. And Auburn's coach came out and was like, "This isn't. We can't be playing in these conditions. They can't even hold the bat."
Yeah. So
it is canceled. It's not like they're going to pick up from that point.
No, they are resuming. They're trying to resume that game at 11:35. So it'll pick up bottom of the first here in about 10 minutes.
They don't if they're rained out today, that means this series hadn't played any games. So tomorrow, I would assume they would have a doubleheader tomorrow, but that still leaves them a game short in this series. Would they play Monday, or would they?
I'm pretty sure the SEC says you can't play after whenever you start. Since they started the series, you can't play 3 days after you start. So if it was a Thursday series, you have to have all the games in by Saturday. And since this is a Friday series, I think you have to have all the games in by Sunday. And that doesn't even include travel issues, because if Auburn flew commercially or if they took a bus, then the SEC, I don't know the rules off the top of my head, but the SEC has rules that Auburn has to leave at a certain time. So unless you're starting the doubleheader at like 10 a.m., they might not even be able to get 2 games in tomorrow.
I don't remember the exact time, but there is a set guideline of SEC rules that the visiting team has to be on the road by a certain time Sunday night.
Yeah, and luckily Kentucky flew. There was the whole issue with Kentucky trying to run the clock out because they had the drop dead time at A&M. Well, that was because Kentucky flew commercially and had to get to the airport. Tennessee flies usually private or charters a flight, so those rules don't apply to them. So I wonder if if Auburn's the same way, or if Auburn flew commercially, or if they took a bus.
Yeah,
so it all depends on what they did.
It depends
it's really not
to a
public
degree,
knowledge either.
Yeah, there's the flexibility. There's a rule to prevent the flexibility from being there.
Yeah.
Which has worked out some years. I mean, it's made mincemeat of the standings some years where we've had teams that have lost 6 games that didn't get played, and some that had played 40, some that had played 39, some that had played,
And
I'm just trying to figure out if they don't get them in, we're getting down to the end here.
Yeah.
Every game's important for seeding.
And
in
especially
the SEC tournament, how could that be affected?
And with the road that Tennessee has left, Auburn is probably – and Auburn's a good team. They're probably the weakest opponent Tennessee has left at this point, because they host Vanderbilt and then they travel to Arkansas. Well, Arkansas is a top 5 team in the country, and playing at Arkansas, that's a tough place to play, just like LSU is.
Yeah, it is.
And then hosting Vanderbilt, they're playing hot right now. And the way Vanderbilt plays baseball is small ball. They want to bunt, put the ball on the ground, and steal bases. And if you watch Tennessee at all the past 3 weekends, they can't defend right now.
Yeah.
So Vanderbilt might be their Achilles heel. So when you look at the schedule as a whole, you really needed this series, and you needed to sneak out a series win, or at least not get swept. Probably a series win, I would say, if you still want to be in contention for a top 8 seed. Because at this point, Tennessee's teetering on that line of not even hosting a super regional.
And
and the schedule is not any easier. So
the softball team, the ladies softball team, they've gotten 2 games in. They've been a little bit more fortunate. They lost the first game to Texas A&M, and they're playing here at home. And then yesterday they came out with a 5-1 victory, and then they're set to play today. And I guess they would have tomorrow to make up, I'm sure, if they don't get it in today. But this is it for them. And then their SEC tournament will start next week in Athens, Georgia, run May 6th through the 10th. And Caleb, it's loaded. I mean, it is loaded. You look at Oklahoma number 1, Tennessee number 2 in the nation, Texas A&M number 4, Texas 5, Arkansas 6, Florida 7, LSU 10, South Carolina 12, Alabama 14, Mississippi State 18, Ole Miss 19, Georgia 24. Unbelievable.
It's crazy.
You might as well play for the national championship.
That's the way. Go Jets.
Save a trip. I mean,
that's the way I'm looking at it.
You might as well, and especially with that being hosted in Athens and the way Georgia's playing this year, because you mentioned them too. That'll make an exciting environment. But, man, the SEC, when we talked about this before, when you add Oklahoma and Texas to an already good softball conference, you get what you have now, which every weekend is important. Sure. And Tennessee's trying to fight the rain right now just to escape, I think, Mississippi State.
You talk about Karen Weekly and the fine program she's had over there and trying to get over the hump and get into the World Series, and then you're looking at that right there and you're going, well, look what I've got to fight through to get there. I'm just trying to get in.
Just trying to win my conference. I mean,
yeah. Well, let's get to some national sports headlines here on this date. The New York Yankees became the first team in Major League history to open a game with 3 consecutive home runs, more than once in a season. So it did happen more than once in a season.
Yeah, I think
this
it happened
past week.
opening day.
Trent Grissom
I'm
and
not
Aaron
mistaken.
Judge and Ben Rice went deep off Baltimore's Kyle Gibson in the first inning this past Tuesday night. Kyle Gibson, that probably doesn't ring a bell with you guys. Kyle Gibson is from Greenfield, Indiana. He's from my hometown. Yeah, and
so there's 2 legends from Greenfield now.
He's in the record books now, for sure, with 3 home runs being thrown there. With
he's Greenfield Gunner number 2.
Other headlines: the race helmet. We had a race helmet in here last week.
Yes, we did.
You know, we got another race helmet in the news. The race helmet worn by Formula One great Ayrton Senna during one of his most iconic races, the Belgium Grand Prix, sold last week for $966,449.
Seriously.
For a helmet.
Good grief.
Now I have that helmet at home. The exact replica of that helmet. Now I'm getting your feet on it. Could I get 400 for that? 400,000 for that replica of his helmet? I could take it here and beat it on the street, make it look like it's race worn a little bit.
Yeah.
Are we
Tony
beating?
could sign off and
I can
say,
sign off.
he wore that helmet at Monaco. You know, look at all.
Are you opening it for bids around the table?
All right, I'll go buck
Might
25.
be a little
buck
short.
20.
Might come up a little short on those.
Probably would.
Yeah. Other racing news: Austin Cindric celebrated his first win of the season by wearing Talladega's Super Speedway traditional victory wreath all around the track. Said it felt like he just won the Indianapolis 500. And, of course, his dad, Tim Cindric, has been the right-hand man for Roger Penske's IndyCar team for years. And I guess he took that wreath that he had around his neck on the plane with him. So
I'd say he did.
That obviously was a big win for him down there at Talladega. And they are at Texas Motor Speedway today, another fast track oval. They're at 3:30 on FS1. Tony Ierulli, the Pac-12, has finalized its television partnerships for the 2025 season. ESPN, CBS, and CW networks will combine to show 13 home games, involving Oregon State and Washington State. And the Pac-12 will then have their expansion teams in 1926.
The Pac-12 really doesn't.
2026. Boy,
yeah, Pac-12 really
26.
They really don't have 12 in the Pac-12, do they? I think
not now.
They have like 3 or 4.
You know, this situation with Oregon State and Washington State just sort of looks to me like a cup. I feel sorry for them, really, because they're two teams that were all dressed to go to the prom. Nobody wanted them last year out of the Pac-12.
Absolutely.
And I think didn't Oregon State have a fairly good football team last year? One of them had a pretty good football team last year, but here they are, and they're gonna revamp all of that and see how it works out.
Who else is joining the Pac-12? Anyone know?
I think you got San Diego State going in there and
Boise State I mean, everyone from the former Pac-12, they're all playing the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Fullerton State, maybe.
Fullerton.
Fresno State.
San Diego State, I think.
San Diego State's going in. So.
Okay, all right. Congratulations.
I don't know. Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get out of there as soon as you can.
But can you imagine what that when they held that first conference basketball tournament, say, and you've got that guide that the program you can get at the door. And people still do that occasionally. They don't print as many as they used to. But you're flipping through that thing, and there's not a record in there held by a current school.
No.
You're looking through it, and it's like
all schools that have left.
Here's everybody who used to be in the conference and all the records they held and all the championships they won.
They're adding Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State, Utah State in July 2026.
You got to have state behind your name, right?
And then Gonzaga will join for basketball, but since they don't field a football team, there will be no Gonzaga football. And then and plus Oregon State and Washington State.
Yeah.
So
lots of states.
Every school is a state, except for Gonzaga's, but they don't have football, so they don't need to have state.
Doesn't matter. No basketball only.
At least they're salvaging the league.
Yep.
They tried, and
leave us on life support.
Hopefully they give us some more football games that kick off at midnight Eastern time.
Yeah, probably happen. Hey, Coach Ierulli, Football Hall of Fame quarterback John Elway was driving a golf cart And when an accident occurred, killing his longtime agent and friend Jeff Spurbeck, Elway, who was piloting the golf cart when Spurbeck fell off and hit his head on the asphalt. The ex-agent was riding in the passenger side, and I think they had some other. I think their wives were on there, and maybe some of their kids.
One of those bigger. It wasn't just a little golf cart. It was a.
I mean, what are the odds of something like that happening?
Man, just really sad to hear about that. I mean, he may have been sitting in the back, and Elway may have taken a corner, maybe gone a little too fast, or who knows, and he fell out and just kind of tumbled out, and it was just one of those freak things that his head hit probably the curb because they live in one of those gated communities that everyone has a golf cart.
Yeah.
And it's not the golf cart we play around here. I mean, it's a 6 or 8 person golf cart, and just really sad. I mean, not only was his agent, but just such a close friend and all that, and just very sad for the family and the Elway family as well.
Large point of contention. Do you think the National Traffic Safety Administration is going to require seat belts on golf carts now?
Well,
they could.
They could possibly look at it. I mean, they won't wear it, but I mean, but all those, my community doesn't have a, Westcliff Drive does not have a golf cart rule or anything like that. So, instead of driving cars, that's what they do. They have their own little golf carts.
Yeah,
and they can afford them.
Yeah. Tony Lawrence Taylor's back in the news. His number's retired, 56. He's a Hall of Famer. It's retired by the New York Giants, and Abdul Carter wanted to wear that number, but Lawrence Taylor says, "Not so fast, friend. I'm not interested in giving that number up."
Yeah,
so.
I would say Lawrence Taylor would say. Well, I can't say that because Ray Trail's not here right now. All right, but not no, but hell no. And you don't try to get a retired number to use, especially Lawrence Taylor. There's no way that was going to happen.
Yeah. Well, we had a situation there, a week or so ago, where Warren Moon is going to allow the guy for the Titans to wear his uniform number.
Lawrence Taylor is not Warren Moon.
Yeah, that when you've got a situation where you politely call and inquire beforehand and kind of get the feel for it before you officially ask, that's one thing. When you just say you want it, that's kind of something else. Because that, especially with given the personality of the players, there's a difference.
Yeah. True. How was it going to happen?
Donnie Moore last night. Riley Green of the Detroit Tigers made history. He homered twice in the ninth inning last night, the first ever to do that. 2 home runs in 1 inning.
That's historic, I'm guaranteeing you.
Yeah. Never before done.
No, it hasn't been. And as long as Major League Baseball has been a thing, and that's since 1800s.
Yeah. You're saying he's the first person that has hit
2 home runs in the ninth inning.
In the ninth.
Oh, in the ninth.
Not just one inning.
Just one inning, but in the
ninth inning.
In the ninth.
Of course, that game was on the road, so they
you
wouldn't have been able to do it at home. But that was a pretty neat deal. Kentucky and St. John's will face off next season in basketball. Woo. December the 20th. Patino will go back to face his former team and his former player, Mark Pope. So that'll be an interesting night there, and right before Christmas.
Yep. Mark Pope said he figured it'd happen eventually, so might as well have it happen now.
That'll be good.
And that'll be, St. John's is going to have a good team. Kentucky's going to have a good team.
Sure.
So all eyes will be on that game. Basketball Hall of Famer Greg Popovich will no longer coach the San Antonio Spurs. He will become the team's president of basketball operations. Popovich suffered a mild stroke this past November. I'm sure that had something to do with it. He's had 1,422 regular season victories, 5 NBA championships, and 29 seasons. And Donnie, you did a little research on him this morning.
Yeah, I did. You ever watch one of Coach Pop's in-game interviews? There's not much to him. He only allows 2 questions, and he tries to get by with answering those 2 questions in fewer than 15 words.
But that's it.
And that's it. And if the reporter doesn't ask him 2 questions, he doesn't let him go anywhere. He grabs him by the shoulder, his shirt sleeve, and says, "Hey, where's my other question?"
That's it.
That's it.
Well, that's short.
And he messes with reporters big time.
Well, if you're a head coach in the NBA for 29 years, I guess you can.
And won that many games.
Yeah.
You don't even have to have a press conference.
No, absolutely. How tough do you think it'll be to be the coach that follows
Oh,
him
my.
up?
Oh boy.
With him also
Oh,
being
my.
partially your boss still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody. I wouldn't want that
I
job.
wouldn't want it. No.
We got a lot of racing in the States. IndyCar's at Barber. You know, Tony, you should stay down there at Barber Motorsports there in Birmingham, and of course you were down there last week. But they're going to qualify today. They race tomorrow at 1:30 on Fox. I think their weather looks really good down there for tomorrow. I don't know about today. And Formula One's in Miami at 4 o'clock tomorrow. So you got NASCAR in Texas, and you got Formula One in Miami tomorrow, and then you got IndyCar. So it's a big day in auto racing in the United States
And I think,
tomorrow.
if I'm not wrong, didn't F1 sign an extension with Miami to keep the race there another 10 years?
Yeah, they're in the States. I mean, you got Miami, you got they're Las Vegas, and they're at Texas. You got 3 races. All they need is an American driver and an American team. And I don't know what the heck they're working on.
They're adding an American team.
That's
Cadillac.
right. Cadillac is average.
Caddy.
Yeah, they're coming in. They're coming in, and we'll see.
Because
what
when I
happens.
think speed, I think Cadillac.
It's good for F1 because they can start replacing some of the races that people don't like them racing, like in Saudi Arabia, and start saying, well, we'll go to Texas or Miami instead. And they get rid
That's
of
not going to happen.
If
If they can afford their own golf league, they can afford to put the money up that F1's still going to race in Saudi.
If you ever want to get good training for stock car racing, drive through Chattanooga during rush hour.
Oh, no kidding.
That's a good.
Good.
Driving through Chattanooga in rush hours could practice for parking, Tony.
Parking and bumping. And I mean, Carol and I, we drove through Chattanooga. It took us like an hour and a half to get through there with parking and stopping and running in front of this car and people shooting you birds from the other car. And I mean, it's vicious right there.
I got one for you. All these rolling roadblocks on Alcoa Highway.
man.
It's like when they get the pace car out there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
That would actually be a great training ground for the pace cars for NASCAR.
It would be.
Alcoa.
To be the guy who's running that running roadblock on Alcoa Highway.
You got to try to
Because when that
dodge the
flag
potholes.
drops, you better get out of the way.
Definitely.
I just got to tell you.
Yeah, so why go all over the country or the world? You just do
Got it right
Chattanooga
here.
or Alcoa
Somebody
Highway.
asked me one time, says, well, why don't you keep up with NASCAR? Why you like IndyCar and Formula One, but you don't really keep up with NASCAR? And I say, that's because I drive against it every day on the highways here. I'm not interested in watching it on Sunday.
And I tell you what, driving down 411, that's the new Alcoa Highway right
you
now.
ain't
I
kidding.
mean,
You ain't kidding. You can't have enough life
but
insurance.
the thing is, you got like 4 or 5 car washes.
Somebody ought to be signing people up for licensures at a toll bridge out there. Yeah. Hey, let's talk about what happened on this day in sports. May the 3rd, 1922, Mayor Highland in New York closes 2 streets for building of Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. So they got Yankee Stadium on the charts or getting it going there in New York.
Good call.
Back there, the house that Ruth built. 1936, New York Yankee Joe DiMaggio makes his major league debut. He gets 3 hits. Pretty good day for a guy just breaking
not
in.
too shabby.
Yeah, turned out pretty good player.
Yeah. 1941, the 67th Kentucky Derby. Eddie Arcaro aboard Whirlaway, which was the first leg of the successful Triple Crown. I got an interesting story about Whirlaway. My dad would always get lost coming down here. He'd come down here on vacation to the mountains, the Smokies, and we'd drive back to Indiana. Of course, there wasn't any interstates back in that day, and he'd invariably get lost. And my mother would get all over him, and my dad would say, I can't drive and read the map at the same time. I'll never forget what he'd say to her. And I remember one time we were lost in Kentucky, and they were getting into it, and my mother said, do you know where you're at? I said, yeah, right there. I was looking for Whirlaway's farm. Right there's where he was bred and raised and won the Kentucky Derby. I mean, it just worked out perfect for him. He was completely lost going some road there in Kentucky.
And your mom probably just kind of put her head down, just kind of shook.
Yeah, boy, I'll tell you what. A lot of arguments on those deals. Hey, 1951, Gil McDougall ties a major league record with 6 RBIs in 1 inning. 6 RBIs in 1 inning. That's a pretty good day right there.
Sure is.
1977, the NFL draft, Ricky Bell from USC, first pick by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I believe John McKay was probably coaching there, was he not?
Yeah, John McKay was the head coach at USC.
He brought the tailback in from USC where he had been coaching before. 1979, Major League Baseball, Cleveland Indian Bobby Bonds hits his 300th home run. second to have 300 home runs and 300 stolen bases. 1980, Giants first baseman Willie McCovey hits his 521st and final home run.
What a great
What
player
a giant that guy was.
He's one of my favorites, too.
And you know what I always remember about him was in that World Series, I think it was 62. That's a long time ago, against the Yankees. They had guys in scoring position with 2 outs, a chance to win the game out there in San Francisco, and he hits that blue darter liner right at Bobby Richardson. And 3 feet over to either side, it'd been a giant win, series win for them.
Yeah. I mean, it was he was just absolutely great player.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, he's what about 6'6"?
Oh, he was huge, a giant.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, left-handed hitter.
Yeah.
1986, Cubs third baseman Ron Say hits his 300th.
The Penguin.
301st home run for the Cubs. You know, but he made his name there with the Dodgers.
The Dodgers
playing
sure
for
did.
Tommy Lasorda for all those great teams out there.
Right.
But he ran just like a penguin.
That's right.
That's what they called him.
That's called
That's what they called him, the Penguin.
He wasn't a real big guy. Played third base and had some great years. 2018, the Atlanta Falcons quarterback Matt Ryan becomes NFL's first $30 million per season player after agreeing to a $150 million contract extension.
Good agent.
Yeah, you better believe that. 2023 Major League Baseball. LA Angels pitcher Shohei Ohtani joins New York Yankee legend Babe Ruth as the only pitcher to strike out 500 batters and hit over 100 career home runs in a 6-4 win over the Cardinals.
Wow.
That's pretty good company right there. You don't really think much. You don't really think of Babe Ruth being a pitcher, but you know he was a pretty good pitcher.
Ohtani's
early in his career. I mean, Babe Ruth. I mean, every fourth day he was pitching. Very successful.
We got some birthdays out there. American Baseball Hall of Famer Red Ruffing, who lived from 1904 to 1986. The New York Yankees, 6-time All-Star, played in the World Series in 32 and 1936 to 1939 and 1941. So way back in the day.
Yep, he was
great player.
He was a great player back in those days.
Speaking of back in the day, this was April 17th, 2017, Mike.
There you are.
I thought it was 21, but it's been longer than that. It's been 71.
Down at Barber Motorsports.
Barber Motorsports.
You found it up.
Who's that picture of you right there with?
You know, he's got his sunglasses on. I think that's Alexander Rossi.
I believe you're right.
I think that's Alexander Rossi. He had just won the Indy 500 the previous year.
I believe you're right.
And we were down there, and I'm telling you, we had a great
time. That was a great sports page road trip right there.
We were back there.
2017.
We cornered Helio Castanevis at his trailer like that, and he says there was about 5 or 6 of us. Remember, about 5 or 6. Lonnie Hersburn was down there with us, and we were going to talk to him, get his autograph and everything. He says, I got to go, but I'll catch you guys later. And I told him, I said, we'll never see him
again. We missed
our
opportunity.
We'll never see that guy again, because that's the big rub off right there. I'll see you guys later. Well, we decided to go back and see their motorhomes. Remember, we walked back there to see their motorhomes and so forth. And here come Helio, and he just looked at us and goes, I remember you guys.
Yeah,
I remember you guys. And Lonnie got the biggest kick out of that, standing there talking to him and getting his picture taken and everything.
That was funny.
I think he's hollering security here. For sure.
Yeah. But we saw a lot of, a lot of the drivers, Bobby Rahal and we saw Rick Mears and Marco Andrew. I mean, it was an outstanding day. Real relaxed.
Great day.
Yeah, the drivers were in a great mood, and we went down there to see practice and drove back the same day. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, wasn't it?
It was 2017.
2017.
That's what?
Yeah.
8 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
It's been longer than I thought.
I'm telling you right now.
I tell you, we ought to have a sports page today and go to a baseball game over at
we should do that.
Yeah, go see the new, check out the new stadium.
Do some road trips.
New park.
Hey, Sugar Ray Robinson's birthday's today, world welterweight boxing champion from 1946 to 51. And he was a middleweight champion, 51 and 52, 55 and 58. So he won titles in 2 different weight classes. Ken Terrell, the English race car driver in Formula One and founder of Tyrrell Racing, he's having a birthday today, and he lived from 1924 to 2001. Interesting thing about Ken Terrell, he had a Formula One car that had 6 wheels. Had six wheels on it that he had, and it was a pretty successful drive. Greg Gumbel, the American sportscaster that we just lost here recently. Today was his birthday, and then individuals that have passed. 1921, Teddy Paulette, a Belgian auto racer. He was the first Belgian to be in the Indianapolis 500. Of course, that's going back a ways. 1999, Joe Adcock. You remember him?
Yeah, I do.
Milwaukee Braves.
Yep.
First baseman, wasn't he? Did he play first base or not? I can't remember. Seems like he did, but
could have been.
2-time Major League Baseball All-Star. Played on some great Milwaukee Brave teams back in the day with Henry Aaron, and
50s.
Lou Burnett, Warren
Right.
Spahn pitchers, and so forth. I remember a little bit about those days back in with the Braves, but back in '57 and '58, they won the World Championship in '57, I believe, and in '58, I think they had a 3-0 lead on the Yankees.
And the Yankees came back and beat them.
Came back and they beat them 4 straight. Came back and beat them.
Yeah.
But they were one of my favorite teams back in the day. When I was young. A lot of my friends, the Yankees were the favorite team, but I kind of liked the Braves.
But didn't the Braves pitchers have like Warren Spahn or?
Yeah. He was left-hand pitcher, and then Lou Burnett.
Right.
I was thinking about some of those other players. You had the what's the guy that did the beer commercials and announced
Joe Graggiola.
No,
Euchre?
Bob Euchre. Yeah, he played.
That's right.
Played up there for Milwaukee a little bit, but that was tough winning back in those days because you just had an American League and a National League, and all the teams were. You didn't have divisions.
Right.
You didn't have playoff games, so you had to win the regular season, to go on. And
that's right.
Of course, every year it seeed like the New York Yankees were in the.
They're always on the World.
I just thought when I was 8 years old or 9 years, I just thought the Yankees were supposed to be in the World Series. I didn't. I didn't even know there was any other.
Who didn't?
I mean, you got the Yankees, and there they are. In the World Series every year, and then somebody from another league, the National League, would pull in there, but. Anyway, time for a break.
When he's doing this.
Yeah. Time for a break, and when we return, we'll talk a little bit about the Kentucky Derby. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
There he is.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and I'm here along with Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons and Coach Tony Ierulli and Caleb Jarreau from the Maryville Times. We're going to talk a little bit about the Kentucky Derby. The 151st Derby will be run today at Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky. Post time is set for 6:57 Eastern Time and can be seen on NBC. Seems like every year the post time goes back. I remember when it was at 4:30 and then it moved back to 5 o'clock. And they just keep moving it back. Well, now it's, if it goes off at 7 o'clock, so be it, but it may be later than 7 o'clock.
Well, I think there's just so many activities that go on there on the track. They just keep pushing it back.
Well, but the thing is, they keep pushing it back, and the weather has not cooperated the last decade or so. Yeah. It's been some of the darkest finishes in terms of lighting that you've seen, and you've also seen some of the closest finishes, and that's not a good pairing.
No.
To have close finishes in near dark.
Y'all know more about the horses than me. How does the rain affected? Are you supposed to pick a certain horse over another in the rain, or what's it look like?
You need to pick some horse that's a good mudder. You know, a good mudder. I don't know if you like fast horses. I don't know, Donnie. That's probably not a good sign for a fast horse, that mud. But
no,
I'd look for some.
Well, if you got a good pit crew that can change the hooves real quick.
I guess.
Get
Clean
the
out
shoes
the
on.
hooves.
Change
There
the
you
shoes.
go. There you
I guess. But what do you think, Donnie?
Well, you know, I got to studying on this race, and my picks don't mean a whole lot, but
Are these
you know,
real
journal-
picks or are these?
These
Mike,
are real picks.
These aren't.
Hey, Mag, it's 3-1.
These are real picks
Okay.
right here. Sovereign Journalism's the favorite at 3-1 going in this as of this morning. Sovereignty is going off at 5-1, so he comes in as the second pick. But I'm going to pick Sandman, going I think at 6-1. Sandman's a steady horse that keeps up a fast pace throughout the entire race. Now, it may be entirely different because the track's going to be wet, so I can't say that. But I waffled between Sandman and was it by who? I can't read my own writing here. Baerza? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baerza.
Because it's another fast-paced horse, but he's 12-1. So I don't know. I think I'm going to stick with my original pick and pick Sandman to win.
Yeah, I think one of the great things about the Kentucky Derby and the Indianapolis 500 is the traditions that go with.
Mhm.
We could go with the races, and I looked up some of those. The winning blanket of roses that they throw over that the winner down in the winner's circle. It weighs there's 400 roses on it. It weighs 40 pounds.
Wow. 40
The song "My Old Kentucky Home," Coach
Uh-huh.
Ierulli, is that the original song or is it a revised version of the song? You see all the people singing "My Old Kentucky Home" when they come out, and is it a revised or is it the actual Stephen Foster verse?
I want to say it's the original one.
I doubt it very seriously because there's some racially
Oh,
charged,
yeah, that's right.
racially
Yeah,
charged
that's
lyrics
right.
in
That
there.
got you
Well,
there,
that was verse 2 and 3. The original.
It is
Now,
a
the first verse is okay.
Yeah.
It is revised a little bit.
Yeah, I thought it would
Donnie
be.
Moore is right.
Yeah, probably wouldn't be good to be seeing. You know who I'm.
I guess if you're in the stands, you can sing it however you want to sing it, doesn't it? It doesn't make any difference.
I'm sure.
Everywhere else is going to be revised. The traditional drink, of course, is the mint
Mint julep.
and there'll be 120,000 of those consumed.
Wow.
There the day of the race.
Before the race.
Yeah.
That's how they get the money flow.
Yeah, that's right.
Women's hats are in vogue.
Oh, yeah.
At the Derby, and I saw some of those hats that were on, and the men wear some pretty interesting hats too. It's not just women. You know, they have some pretty interesting attire there too. And then you got the Derby parties and the three-year-old horses that race. And of course, this is a mile and a fourth. This track is a mile and a fourth.
Right.
Shortest one.
Shortest one.
Yeah, it's not the longest race.
Food. Everybody's interested in food.
This is what I want to hear.
142,000 hot dogs will be eaten.
Good.
18,000 barbecue sandwiches. 13,800 pounds of beef. 32,400 jumbo shrimp. 8,000 pounds of potatoes. 30,000 cookies and 300,000 strawberries. Now, my question is, where do you cool all that stuff and keep it, in temperature before you start selling it?
Good grief.
All I know is that you're going to have about 200,000 people looking like me coming out of that. look like 200,000.
The way I look
Italians.
at it, at 120,000 juleps, and you're eating all this food, I guess that prolongs you passing out.
I would say.
How do you find time to gamble on the horses with all the
Yeah, I
drinking and
guess.
eating you got to do?
Who cares?
You don't remember.
Who cares?
That's why they give you that little ticket so you can pull it out of your pocket the next day. That's who I bet on.
hey, one thing about the race,
I'll probably be saying that
Toby
too.
Keith just passed away.
Yeah.
He has a racehorse. It's Rendered Judgment. Is a judgment. He started getting into horse racing about 15, 20 years ago, and so he's got one of his horses there.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling for that.
I thought this was interesting. In 1892 and 1905, in the Kentucky Derby, only 3 horses ran. So you got win, place, and show.
You got all?
So
Yeah.
You only got 3 horses.
Hey, finished
You're
in the top 3. That's pretty good.
Never been a female jockey to win the Derby. The oldest winner's been Bill Schumacher. Most rides, Mike Smith. Mike Smith had 27 rides. The lowest temperature was 47 degrees in 1935 and 1957.
Good.
Wow.
The record high was 94 in 1959, and the wettest, they may beat that today,
They might do it.
2018, 3.15 inches of rain.
Oh, man, that's a lot.
Boy, there's a lot of mud being flown around.
Oh.
Worst post is number 1, and the Derby has never been canceled due to weather. Now, it was canceled because of COVID and then reran later in the year, if you remember that. They've had 3 fillies that have won the Derby. Regret in 1950, Genuine Risk in 1980, and Colors in 1988. The purse is $5 million plus, and the Derby that pays first, they pay first 5 positions. You think they just pays 3 win place and show, but they actually pay.
They pay for
they
top
pay for 5.
Okay.
So, and those pay off $3 million plus. Of course, Secretariat had the fastest time at 1 minute 59 and 40 hundredths of a second. 1973 slowest time, 1891 by Kingman, 2 minutes and 52 seconds. And we're just about to run out of time, so we got to make a pick. We got to make a pick. So Donnie, go ahead. Who you got?
Already made mine. Sandman.
Sandman's
my pick.
All right. Who you got?
Render Judgment, Toby Keith.
Render Judgment. Who you got?
Caleb, who you got?
Mark?
Come on, go
I don't know.
Come on.
I wanted journalism, but I don't like taking the top odds. It feels like a cop out.
Yeah. Well,
Give me.
not always.
Go MAGA. That's 3 to 1, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, while
or
he's-
Sleepy Joe.
Sleepy Joe.
While he's looking, Mike, I'm going with publisher.
You're going with publisher.
Oh,
yeah,
there
yeah,
you go.
yeah,
I
you
figured
go.
that. I figured that.
I like that
Couple
one.
front runners.
Journalism and publisher in
Give
there
me
both?
coal battle. Sounds cool.
Hey, they're running for the roses, but they're running also for the gold. I've got chunk of gold. I've got chunk.
I like that one.
I got chunk of gold. Huh?
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, everybody watch the Derby today, and hopefully the
See
weather
how we
will
do.
break up there, and they'll have a good day, and everything will go well. Donnie,
It'll be a good one.
it's been a
Sounds
good
like
day.
fun. It has been
Blow-
a good day. Nice show.
Blow the whistle.
All right, here we go.
Hey, that'll do it for today's edition of the GoTeez Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael back at Loud Media, our host of Bluetick Tavern, and all our sponsors. For Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons and Tony Ierulli and Caleb Jarreau. Until next Saturday, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.
And that's the final whistle. Join us again next Saturday for the GoTeez Sports Page. The best in local sports since 1978.